Hey, wait, is this thing on? Oh, it is. Hey guys, this is editor agent here, and I just wanted to inform you that we have a new goal, and the new goal is 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Yeah, I know it's a big goal from where we're at right now, but I believe in you, and you, the viewer, yeah, you. If you look down slightly, yeah, keep looking more. You see that? Yeah, that's the subscribe button. If you press it, you'll get notified about my videos and content. And every time I post, you will know about it. So yeah. And if you press the like button, you will show even more people about this spectacular content that you so love and enjoy. And also, just a random fact on the screen. There's just, new content that's going to come out when we reach 1,000 subscribers. I'm totally not spoiling anything, of course. But yeah, you know, editor agent, I guess, is probably writing some stuff on the screen. If he is, make sure you don't pay attention to it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I am not a sellout, by the way, so yeah, don't worry about what it says on the screen. Just completely ignore that. But yeah, I've wasted your time enough. Unless you didn't do it. If you didn't do it, I'll wait. No, but like seriously, do it. Okay, so you probably did it by now. Back to your regularly scheduled program. What's up, guys? It's Agent What If, and I'm back again with another video. This is What If Deku was Kirishima's twin. So yeah, the title is pretty self-explanatory, so let's just get into it. We start off with Inko finding out that she's pregnant with two children. I guess you say twins would be simpler. When Hisashi finds out, he really isn't really too taken aback by this, since twins are in his family. What he's most worried about is his family lineage, because since twins are so common in his family, there's a quirk power that's actually dependent on like whether or not they're twins. So he's more worried about whether or not they'll get it. The 9 months pass, and Inko is in the mid-process of giving birth, and Hisashi is just thinking out of his mind, and she begins to squeeze his hand harder and harder, but he doesn't mind it. And he just continues thinking. After the two children are born, like he thought, they're both boys, which tends to happen. This quirk only works when the twins are of the same gender. So, yeah, he expected this. Then we actually time skip 4 years into the future. Deku is actually the younger brother, and Kirishima is the older one. His name, instead of being, I think it's Ijiro, his first name, I think we'll use his last name as his first name for the sake of simplicity. So Kirishima will be Kirishima Midoriya and Izuku Midoriya. Kirishima was born a few seconds, 3 to 4, before Izuku was born. So that makes him older by a little bit. Their dynamic is pretty simple because Deku is outgoing just like Kirishima. Kirishima is just trying to always one up Deku because they both want to be strong and be heroes. So yeah. At the age of 4, they go to the quirk doctor, and both have quirks, as they've been told by their doctor. They've also been told that they exhibit different qualities. That Kirishima exhibits qualities of being able to harden his body to unknown levels, and also being able to manipulate fire, while Izuku had the ability to manipulate lightning and electricity, while also having significantly strengthened agility, speed, reflexes, reaction speed, and just healing. All of those processes boosted. Inko was so happy to realize that her 2 sons were so powerful. And it actually made her cry a little bit, considering that she just gave birth to very, very powerful children. Hisashi then asked the doctor if that was all, and the doctor said, actually, no. We found an unidentified, what looks to be half of a quirk gene. We're not sure about this one. It doesn't seem to be fully developed, but if the quirk was going to have an extra part, it would have developed with the rest of his quirk, since that's how it always works. So it's a little strange. Hisashi then hurries them out of the room saying, "It's okay, doctor. I'm sure it's nothing." He then waves with a smile and tells them to leave. He then grabs Izuku and Kirishima while rolling his wife in a chair out of the hospital. They make their way into the car and go home. The moment they get home, what am I talking about? They're 4 years old. Of course Inko's done with her troubles. My God, that was so stupid. But anyway, they get home. Inko begins to ask why the long face to her husband, and Hisashi just basically says that he has something to explain and that she should get the children down here. Kirishima and Deku make their way down the stairs and ask their father what was wrong. He then asks that you boys are going to essentially become very powerful, but in order for this to happen, you need to do a specific set of things. And then they both were so interested that they just agreed immediately without hearing the rest of what he said. He said, "Okay then, since you've made your choice, I want you boys to put both of your palms flat out onto each other's other palm." And they both stand side by side and do it. And before they notice, they're blinking. And they open their eyes, their voice is different. And instead of 2 children, it's just 1. And their hair is white and they have yellow eyes. And then Hisashi says, "As I thought, you two have the ability split in half. That's one of my family's distinct genetic quirks. The ability to combine with a twin, to combine your powers and make you a lot stronger." And then Inko is rightfully shocked out of her mind and asks Hisashi if he knows what's going on. He says he does, and she begins to yell at him, telling him to make them split up again. And then Hisashi, calming her down, basically tells the 2 boys to imagine in their mind taking their palms off each other's hands. And they do. And the new being does as well, and then they split back into Deku and Kirishima. And then he explains that if they ever want to separate, to just do that. Then they begin their training, since, they just found out that they're uber powerful, and they already are really powerful as well. So they wanted to learn. Since Izuku was naturally stronger than Kirishima always had to harden in order to actually fight with Deku. And they did this till around 10 years old. This made them both exponentially stronger, at least Kirishima's progression, because of the fact that he had to go beyond his normal hardening all the time. Because in order to actually survive getting hit by Deku, he'd have to harden harder and harder and harder, which made him boost up his level to around when he was at Red Riot stage by the time he just is 10 years old. Bakugo and Deku don't really have any problems, seeing as Bakugo's just demeanor is entirely different, and he's more powerful than Bakugo, so Bakugo doesn't really give him problems. And even if he did, Kirishima would be at his side to help him. They don't really get along, but they just don't bother each other. One day, Izuku challenges his brother to a fight and asks him to fight him out in the back once they finish school. They finish school and they begin their training session, their warm-up. And then they get to the real fight. Izuku dashes forward and Kirishima hardens faster before Deku can even reach him, and punches Deku in the face, sending him face down into the earth, cracking making a big indent onto the earth. And Izuku is shocked by this power of the punch. He barely gets up. And Kirishima asks him if he wants to continue, and Izuku says yes. He uses electric powers and makes an electric cage around him and says, "Now I've won. All I need to do is..." And before he could finish, Kirishima just walks through, swatting the electricity off him. And Izuku's thinking in his mind, that's around 15,000 volts of electricity. They shouldn't just be swatted away, even if he's hardened. Kirishima dashes towards him with both of his arms up and hits Deku square in the chest. Deku flies into one of their fences and gets back up. He says, "Okay, so you want to play rough, huh?" Kirishima then nods. Izuku charges up one of his arms as Kirishima lunges towards him, and Izuku hits him with a right so hard that it sends him flying into the ground. Kirishima smacks into the ground really hard, making a huge hole, and his head completely submerged under the earth. This actually almost knocked Kirishima out and completely took away all of the hardening on his face. Kirishima had time to take some time to recollect himself while Izuku was struggling because of the fact that his electricity hurts his body when kept in one place too long. Kirishima gets up and then they both decide that they've both gotten stronger and to just not push it any further. We then skip 5 years into the future. 5 years into the future, Kirishima and Deku are coming home from school and both know immediately where they want to go for school. But they have 10 months to train. They apply for UA, of course, and they're accepted. And they take their 10 months to train. Izuku gets over his inability to hold his electricity in his body for long periods of time with it hurting him, so he can do that now. Kirishima moves up his hardening, but also works on his fire finally, because Kirishima's never actually liked using projectiles and stuff like that since he deems it a coward's ability. He focuses on his fire a little bit. He has about 3 months to use it and make some techniques, but he doesn't really advance it too far. Then we get to the entrance exam. They walk slowly into the gates of UA closely together while joking around. And everyone notices them because of the fact that, well, they look different from everybody else. They are both pretty tall and pretty well built and also just have a very strong presence. They're both not even worried about the fact that all of these other people are staring daggers at them. They don't even realize that they exist, and this scares all of the other students a little bit. After this, they begin to walk in. They clear the first test easy enough, the written exam, and then we go to the practical exam. Once it gets to the practical exam and President Mike says begin, they begin, of course. Izuku dashes forward and breaks the robots with the least amount of effort and kind of gets upset, sitting down in a crisscross position saying, I thought this was going to be harder. Kirishima then jumps over his head, destroying a robot and then slicing one in half and saying, you're right, I thought this would be easier. I thought this would be harder. Might as well just clear them out. And Izuku then says, so you want to do that? Isn't it a little early to reveal that? And Kirishima then says, we'll have to do it now or later, so might as well do it now. Izuku says valid, and then he stands up. They stand side by side and put their fists together and merge into a being who basically just is a slight bit taller than Kirishima and Deku respectively, is a little bit leaner than both of them, and has white hair and yellow eyes. And his voice sounds weird, almost like it's echoed. He then uses a combination attack, stating that it is an electric fireball, and he throws it down the entire street, and it actually melts the concrete and all the buildings around, destroying all of the robots in their path. They then turn back facing the camera saying, how you gonna top that? And then they separate, and they both look a little bit tired, a little winded, and walk back. Everyone immediately clears off the street, getting out of their way as they walk back. Everyone in the observation booth is obviously stunned for good reason, considering there's no real reason why this should be possible that 2 students became 1 student. Their father kind of sort of told All Might about this, but not really. And if you're wondering how he knows about All Might, at least Hisashi is a retired hero, and he used to actually be one of the top contenders for number 1. He was around 10th place, but he was a really powerful hero because he and his brother had an ability like that. But after his brother died, he stopped being a hero and decided to focus on having a family and taking over his family's estates, money, and, their businesses and press and stuff. So, yeah, they're pretty high class. So people know about them. Anyway, All Might's a little shocked that they can do it as well, and kind of is scared. He then tells them both to leave the battlefield and go into the observation booth while they send out more robots for the rest of the students to have a chance at least. They don't even take out the 0-pointer because they feel it wouldn't be worth the effort. If they easily just melted the entirety of the street and the buildings, they would easily destroy the robot with ease. Once they get to the observation booth, they're scolded for taking the chance of the other students in order to shine, but they're not really reprimanded too hard, considering that they're powerful enough. They then both decide that they won't do it again, at least for now, and they begin to sit down watching. Then we time skip to after that first day. Then the next day rolls around and they get ready to go to school, and their father tells them that he was impressed. And they ask about what, and he says, "Oh, I mean your exams." And they both say, "We didn't know that was being recorded live." And Hisashi then says it wasn't recorded live. They're both a little confused, but then get a smile from their father, and they're signaled to walk out of the room. Out of the house. They go down, and they get in their car, driven by their butler, and they basically go to school. Once they get to school, they do their introductions, but no one really cares since everyone kind of got a bad impression. Since they saw them all as snobby rich kids. Saw them both as snobby rich kids. So yeah. They sat down and Eraserhead popped up saying that they're basically just going to have to take a quirk assessment test outside in about 5 minutes. They then just walk out, and their hero costumes are a bit different. Azuku and Kirishima's hero costumes are similar in a sense. Deku's is similar in the sense that he basically keeps the green pattern in shirt and stuff, except he doesn't have the All Might hoodie. He puts his mask on, and it's a part of the costume, like he keeps the mask on. He doesn't have his red belt and those little white latches on his suit, and he has red gloves, and his arm, whatever part of his suit stops at his wrist, and he has white gloves on. Minor differences. We're gonna keep Kirishima's the same because it fits his personality perfectly. So yeah, during the quirk assessment test, it's not even worth talking about because the one who does the best is Deku. Deku does the best. Kirishima gets 5th place because, well, he's not that good at jumping, and he's not that fast. So yeah. Izuku gets 1st place, Bakugo gets 2nd, Kirishima gets 5th, Todoroki gets 3rd, and Ida gets 4th. So yeah, that's pretty much it. They're pulled aside by Eraserhead and asked if they were trying their best, and Deku says no, Kirishima says no, and then he just says, "Wait, do I have to test you guys' joint form, or does that count as a student, or what's going on?" And then they basically explain that their ability allows them to become one new being instead of just the accumulation of both of them. So if you wanted to, you could count him, but you don't really need to, considering that he's part of a whole, at least right now. And he then sighs, saying, "What a ridiculous ability. I mean, come on. Being able to bring people who already have powerful quirks together, that's just ridiculous." And then they basically just walk off and sit on the bleachers. But with that, I think I'm going to end this episode. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all of that other stuff. And let's get to 1,000 subs and stuff. So, yeah. Without any further ado, peace, or something else. I'm gonna find something to say since I say that a lot.